every day when we go home, right, we as a chef, we will say a big hooray, right? It's always to make sure that the rubbish bin only have plastics and glasses, empty glasses that really needs to be thrown away, or not literally nothing that is going to be thrown away.
You're listening to Foodie Canteen, a food podcast brought to you by Good Foodie Media. This is your host, Castle Lim. Today, we are so happy to have Chef John from Food Journal Sarawak on the show with us. He's a city boy who's moved to Kuching a few years ago, where he would go foraging in the forest for a casual dining restaurant. Here's his story. Hi, Chef John. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Kathleen. Nice to meet you.
I'm so glad you made some time to be here. It's your day off, and we have some time to talk about your story.
Yeah, always love to share.
For people who's never been to Sarawak, that's what I do in the beginning of the show for this season. Can you tell us what is Sarawak like and how is life over there?
Sarawak is a state where it's full with a lot of culture, bound with a lot of culture, a lot of local ethnic that actually brings the country a little bit, brings the state a little bit more harmony. Yeah. And Sarawak is a place where there's a lot of things that needs to be discovered.
You were born and raised in KL, but then you moved to Kuching. How many years has it been now?
I've been in Kuching for 4 years now. Yeah, 4 years. I'm living here. Yeah, living here a lot.
So you're not a city kind of person, you say?
Equal, because I've been in the city. I'm born and raised in KL, but I've been in Singapore most of my years. So basically, always been in the city. But coming back to Sarawak is a place where definitely it's very slow pace, but then I really enjoy because of the people. Yeah, because of the people, because of everything. Everything here seems to give me so much love. Yeah.
I ask this question to all my guests, but what are some local foods our listeners should try if they ever visit Sarawak?
Oh, that's a lot. But I will name three things that in particular, three dishes that in particular that I like on the street. One is our panso, ayam panso. Secondly is definitely the laksa. And then some things that I always eat on the go is always kompia. It's actually a very Hakka dish that is a braised meat that is put in the center of a bun. Then you just bite. It's actually a fried bun. Yeah.
Wow, they all sound so good.
And also one of the dessert is called linut, or you can call it tapai. There's linut and tapai. Linut is basically glutinous. It can be savory. It can also be sweet. That if it's savory, it's actually eaten with sambal belacan, with fishes. Yeah, that's savory. And then or dessert, you can actually put corn puree, aloe veras and stuff like that. Then you eat together. So tapai is actually fermented rice that is steamed, and then after that cover up with this what's it called already? There's these leaves that you eat. The Malays, they always like wrap it up in a ketupat, that leaves. So what you do is this rice is actually in this glutinous rice is actually wrapped in this ketupat leaf, and then after that they steam it, and then you just eat it like that during breakfast. Yeah, it's really really nice.
Wow, all these things I've never heard before because I grew up in Kedah, spent most of my time in Penang, and then now I'm in KL, and I've never come across any of these dishes that you just mentioned.
Yeah,
Well, I have
it's
to visit.
because the people that share. Yeah, it's really good, really really good. Yeah.
And before moving to Sarawak to work for Roots, like you said, you've spent a lot of your time in KL, Singapore, and even worked in several hotels like Shangri-La Hotel. Can you tell us your experience there? Like, how was it?
Lot of joy. It's been an adventure. Um, uh, yeah, KL's, we started from KL first. KL has been great. That's where my stepping stone is. Met a lot of different chef mentors who actually guiding me to the right direction. Moving to Singapore has equally been very, I say equal as what KL has gave me. It's just that you need to work extremely harder in Singapore because it's basically a country where opportunities lies everywhere. So it's really, yeah, it's been a really good adventure for me in this industry, especially in the chef industry. Yeah. uh, and I equally learn a lot. Yeah, that's
What
pretty
are
much.
what are some of the vivid memories that stood out to you that really, I don't know, helps you to remember and brings you on to the next chapter in Sarawak?
um Basically working abroad, but working in Singapore, working with different chefs, mentors, they equally taught you the techniques and what is and what's not. But again, basically you working with chefs uh, that is from different part of the country. They definitely have something that in them that they love using in terms of ingredients. And that's where when I decided coming back to Sarawak, one of the things that actually I pave with, it's all these ingredients like truffles and Japanese ingredients and what you can, like all those important ingredients, is somewhere I pave with. And then I told myself, like, coming back to Sarawak, what is the main motive and which direction I want to go to. And then yeah, that's pretty much like coming back to Sarawak, thinking of using more local produce, create using the techniques that I came across. That's pretty much.
So for Food Journal, you guys own a few like F&B outlets. Can you tell us more about the group? How many restaurants you guys have under?
In Food Journal, we have in total of two cafes, one modern Chinese restaurant, and Roots, as well as a bar. So that's actually five under one roof.
So
Yeah,
you are an exec chef for them and you run all the menus and the planning?
yeah. I run the menus, the plannings, and of course, uh, my baby is still Roots lah. I'd say, yeah.
It's really interesting because at Roots, you don't only source your ingredients from suppliers, but you yourself actually go on foraging trips. Tell us about these trips. Like, who are these people that you meet and like some of the ingredients that you've come across in the
Okay,
forest?
so it started out where when I first came back to Sarawak. My mom is the one that actually helped me at first to start growing things from our backyard, and that's where after that, using mom's raw organic plants to create dishes, and then after that I expand even further. Is to, of course, definitely be, for me as a chef, I always go to the market in the morning. So to visit the vendors, it's where we build the connections and friendship. And then from there on, for me is to frequently ask questions, and then the questions comes to become interesting, and then people tend to feel like, wow, why asking me so many questions, and I think I should show you more about what we grow. Maybe it interests you, and then I kind of like build a small community around the people in the market, and then these people will tend to lead me to places, maybe about 40 minutes drive to places where I can forage for ingredients that can help me and improve me in ways to think about how I want to create dishes with all these raw ingredients. Many can be indigenous. So we tend to bring all these indigenous ingredients to the kitchen, break down, and then see what we can create from time to time.
Is it common for restaurants in Kuching to do that?
Um, there isn't many, but again, that's where I felt like you need to, because Sarawak has so rich in terms of ingredients. So I believe that a lot of locals here, they also like to use that local ingredients to bring up flavors. So for us is we go even further. We want to take the risk, go even further and try to do whatever we could. Sometimes we might fail, but again, I think failure is always the joy, because if you don't fail, you never know where you want to what's the next flavor you want to develop in your next menu again.
So fail means that you bring back these ingredients and it doesn't work according to menu and it tastes like
Yes.
bad.
But in terms of that, we also record flavors.
Yeah.
So maybe the next menu or the menu after, in a year time, we will think like, why not bring these ingredients back, smoke it instead of cooking inside the pot? Why not smoke this, to bring that flavor element into that dish?
So what are some of these ingredients? Is this the one that we don't see in, I don't know, Tesco, Lotus, Jar Grocer?
Oh, that's a lot. But one in particular, there's actually three in particular that I like. One is called tepus. It's actually very commonly cooked in a stew. It has this aromatic, that special aromatic is in between lemongrass. Is it lemongrass and ginger flower in between? Then you have this very mellow flavor.
So it's like a plant.
Yes, it's a plant. It's actually like a root. Yeah.
So if you say this is like indigenous ingredients, who named them? The local people.
Yes.
Right. So they just name it and then you call it from then on.
Yes. And then there's this sour brinjal. It's round and yellow. And this is also cooked inside your soup. That actually bring out sour flavor. So instead of using your asam jawa or your limau nipis, you can consume raw vegetables that is equivalent as sour and fruity in the soup. Yeah, so in local here, they always like to use this terong asam to make into soup with anchovies, with a bit of aromatic vegetables, and then voila, that's where you get your good bowl of sour, savory soup. So there's this vegetable that can be related to an avocado. So it's called engkala. So it's very versatile, very pure flavor. It's just as close as an avocado in terms of fats. Yeah. So what I do with engkala, it's either I make into a puree, or you can always replicate into something like guacamole kind of thing. Yeah. So these are the three vegetables that I would say that I love working with.
Tell me about the local villagers that you meet. So they're just open to showing you around and walking into their garden or farm where they plant these things and they name these ingredients themselves. They're very open to welcoming you.
Of course, at first people will be very, 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 very scared. Who is this boy? Keep coming asking questions like most every week, every 3 or 4 times. People out of curiosity, people were like, "Wow, why this boy? Keep asking questions." But again, there's this thing like if you don't try asking, you will never get that information that
but
you
you
need.
also met them because the people at the market brought you to these people.
No. I'm random. I'm
So
a
you're
random
just driving
person.
away from Kuching and then you just...
So what I do is I met these people in the market first, and then I tell them, bring me to your kampong. Bring me to your kampong. It's maybe you have something that I need. So they say, okay, we trust you. We set a schedule. Let's go. So I'm like, okay, I'll go with you. just bring me there, show me around. Yeah. So all the excitement comes after that.
So, what do they call this group of people?
They are all ethnic culture people. So there's a lot of culture. There's plenty of culture in Sarawak.
Yeah.
Different ethnic. So basically, this group of people, that I know, they are the Bidayuh people, and some of them are the Ibans. So these people just bring me to their backyard and then show me around, and then after that, before I drive back, they'll cook me a dinner, and that's where they equally inspired me in flavors as well. And then every once in a while, for my day off, I will actually spend my time in local places, eat, and also gain inspiration from there as well. So I'm really much of a person who look into local delights. Yeah. And that's where all these flavor memories come together. And that's where, when I go to the kitchen, I can actually recall what I had in terms of flavor. And then after that, create in a different way. Yeah.
The menu at Roots looks amazing, like watermelon salad, beef rib eye, and like charcoal grilled eggplant. And they're also so plated so intricately as well. How do you create? Can you walk us through the creative process?
I think the places that I've eaten and the people that I've came across that equally inspired me to do what I do today. So basically, I always look into very humble ingredients. And then growing up in KL, eating in many places, good places, bad places, equally inspired me in terms of flavor. So whenever I create a dish in Roots, it's always bound to looking into raw and humble ingredients and see how can we accumulate all these spices and everything that I know that we can what we can bring into a plate in terms of, like, let's just say an example, like an eggplant. An eggplant is basically a very humble ingredients that people, you like it or you don't. But I want
Actually,
people.
what do you mean when you say humble ingredients? Like ingredients that are not so complex, or ingredients like shallot?
Yeah, shallot.
It's a humble ingredient because it's just plain and tastes as it is.
Yes. So it's either you like or you don't like, right? Eggplant. So I want to make sure that everybody likes it. So for me as a chef, it plays a big part is I need to know how to cook an eggplant. So that I want to make sure that I can make sure that 40 people who comes into the restaurant, they eat, they will like it. So in a way that, put an example as an eggplant, is to always grill and to bring that grill flavor, that grill flavor into it. Everyone likes barbecue, right? Yeah. So I want to bring that barbecue flavor into that eggplant, that aromatic flavor. And then after that, brush up with something that people like it in a way that I want to bring. There's this triangle thing, like you have to have sweet, you have to have salty, and then it's either a bit of bitterness or sourness. So I always play among these three triangle flavors. And then after that, to bring in these three triangle flavors, the bonus is always the umami, right? So after creating these three flavors, I always want to challenge myself. How can I bring umami into the last palette, the last flavor palette, the flavor profile? So after that, by doing that, is to brush up something that we create, like black garlic, that's so umami, and then a bit of taochu that we always frequently eat with porridge. Yeah. Then we just add a bit of taochu and black garlic, and we make into a paste, and then we brush it on an eggplant. And then we had a lot of crab head, and then crab head has these crab fats. So what we do with this crab fat is we dissect it, and then we make into a sauce, like a velouté sauce. And then we just cut a bit of mushrooms that is grown locally, just mix it up, and then just put it on top of the eggplants. fried a bit of leaf. That's it. That's pretty much what we do.
I love what you said about the triangle. It's like the food trifecta. And it's funny you mentioned eggplant because when I was younger, I hated eating eggplant. Like my dad
That
would
you see?
force me
Yeah.
to eat because we go to this chucha and then they just fry it with like what the black beans or something, and then it's so soft and soggy. And then
Yeah.
I think as kids you just don't like anything that's like it's like saliva-ish. And then I think 3 years ago I went out to chucha again with my friends. And then my friend is like, hey, we have to order this eggplant dish. I'm like, no, I hate eggplant. He's like, no, you have to try this really good. They fry it. And then I had it and wow, it just changed my perspective of eggplant. And now I even eat the soggy
Yeah, you
eggplant.
see?
It's so
Yeah,
delicious. 真的.
yeah, I can relate to that because I grown up hating eggplants as well, you know. But after a few years, you know, having family reunions, you know, back in KL, you know, mom ordered eggplants. I came to like, hey, something that I like, you know? Yeah, so I can relate to that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think this is the what a chef does as well. I was just speaking to this chef as well from Ipoh, and he talks about how nowadays people just stir fry everything with oyster sauce, and there's no longer creativity or respect for these ingredients, and it is your chef's job to be creative and then see what you can do about it, other than just frying it the way everyone has been doing it.
Yeah. So yeah, again, when we talk about roots, right? Definitely I have a few staff that is under me, working with me, and then definitely some people may not like eggplants as well. So I told them again, you know, why not we create something that everybody likes it, and then of course creating a menu in roots is not just me. I think every one of the staff play a big part that brings together what it is, you know. So I'm always very open to my staff to say, you know, let's let me create a dish and then you tell me what is not good and how can we improve from here. And I'm really, really open to that. And then when things is not, that's why I always whenever we cook a sauce, we cook anything in the restaurant, everybody has to come and try it. Yeah, so that's something that if everybody puts their hand up and agree that the thing is good, then we will go with it. Yeah. So yeah, that's pretty much.
Let's talk a bit about paella, which I saw on your menu, and I love it. I used to visit Washington D.C. in the States, and there's this Spanish restaurant that serves really really good paella. But coming back in Malaysia, I cannot find good ones. It's either too oily or there's no burnt crust at the end of the.
And there's something called like the sokarat, is it?
Yeah. So like, tell us about the dish. Like, how do you guys create this? I know it's one of the signature at Roots. Walk us through the creation of this menu.
This dish is actually was actually a dish that is from my the last restaurant that I actually worked in Singapore is Ola. So it's a dish from I would say my mentor Daniel Chavez, and he created this dish that struck my mind that why I want to work in his restaurant. And somewhere along the way that, you know, I learned when I was working in this restaurant, that's where, well, I was so lucky that I was actually standing in the paella station. I was positioned in the paella station, you know. So when I was cooking it at the time, there is this I have this this excitement to cook this paella every time that I have an order. And when I were to bring this paella back to Sarawak, I asked myself like, what the locals like in terms of flavor. What can I change from the current where I used to do it back to something that can relate to the locals as well. So again, cooking a paella is always with full respect, because some things that you don't play around in terms of, because it's something that is carried on for many years in Spain, right? So I want to understand the fundamental, the basics first. So to get it right, so to get the paella done properly and done it right, is to always respect the culture first, the Spanish culture. So I always make sure that the paella has this seducing crust that is actually called the sauerkraut. So and a paella has to have a mother paste that is actually called a sofrito. So sofrito is actually basic can be done in different ways. Some people can put red peppers, but definitely there's always tomatoes and onions in it. So mine is very basics, but I want to get the basics done really right. Yeah, so tomato, onions, a good amount of rice that is actually heat up with a bit of saffron, and then a bit of chicken stock, or you can also seafood, or you can also be replaced with seafood stock. Depends on what you butcher on that day. The remaining bones and everything you can extract out and make into a stock. Then you can instantly apply to your paella, and that's where we bake it, and then just pan searing a bit of fresh seafood that is brought in most like every week. Then you just assemble on top of the paella with fresh seafood, good amount of saffron rice, organic stocks that is from bones and all, and then after that a few vegetables that come along.
Wow, listening to you narrate now, I feel like I need to get a paella after this. It's been so long. I don't know, I'm just so scared to eat paella in Malaysia because I've tried a few and it's just never been good, and I just stopped trying.
Yeah, but yeah, it's something that I'm always very fascinated about cooking, like in my cooking. So to me, it's always to understand the basics. So my when I was a cook, I always frequently ask chef a lot of questions in terms, and I read a lot as well. So some things that I read, I when I'm working in a restaurant, I tend to want to ask questions because I'm curious and I want to know a little bit more, because I do not want to cook something that is just cooking for the sake of cooking, but I want to cook because I want to understand a little bit more. But first to understand the culture first, then only you start to go into the advanced level. Yeah.
What is one philosophy you stick to when it comes to creating a dish?
Philosophy, believe in believe just believe in what you do, and then trust in the ingredients that you have lah. Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about sustainability, which we've mentioned in our first call. How do you make sure that you use every part of an ingredient or like meat that you...
So my mom is a vegetarian. So my mother-in-law is a vegetarian. So she grows a lot of vegetables in the backyard. So most of the time, I see what she grow, and then the remaining things that she have, like eggs and everything that is cracked open and everything. So she always use all these stuff, and then she make into a compost. And then I came to mind that sometimes there is a lot more things that is very important in our lives that we can actually upcycle. So what we do in the restaurant is to understand that sustainability comes in many ways. But again, when we buy anything like protein, like for instance lamb shank, that kind of thing, you have all these bones. You know, bones have this gelatin. Like there's this bones have this, like people like it called the marrow. You can call it a lamb marrow or a beef marrow kind of thing. But we always believe that the marrow has tons of gelatins and goodness, that we can make into many things. So when we look into buying every raw material, let's just say from vegetables to beef or chickens or anything, we look into ways that how we want to use everything. So for instance, like let's just say for eggs, right? Because and that's where my mom decided to grow vegetables at home, and the vegetables that we use in the restaurant very much come from my mother's farm. And then and then a small community of people in the market and individual suppliers that help us along the way to supply us like edible flowers and to bring up that color in the plate, and then market people who help us with ingredients that in season that I can play around. And then after that, there's a garden behind our restaurant that I came across that my mom is doing compost at home. Why not I do compost in outside the restaurant, that I can also look in ways that I can be also sustainability to grow herbs like dill, thyme, rosemary, a bit of ulams that we need to use. Yeah, like sorrels, green sorrels, that kind. So we grow behind our restaurants. And then for bones and everything, again, stocks, vegetables, no wastage. So every day when we go home, right, we as a chef, we will say a big hooray, right? It's always to make sure that the rubbish bin only have plastics and glasses, empty glasses that really needs to be thrown away, or not literally nothing that is going to be thrown away. Unless, let's just say for instance, like garlics that you make into a confit, then we will not use that garlic leaves again. But other than that, we pretty much use everything in the restaurant that we buy.
And you call that a successful day?
Yes, it is. Yeah, it is. So there's a lot going in the restaurant that sometimes I think 8 hours of our time is really not enough. That we really work extra for it.
I mean, hearing you talk right now, I can really hear your passion, and you're so proud to be a chef. In Malaysia, I've read Anthony Bourdain, David Chang. They talk about how sometimes a chef's life is glamorized, but oftentimes we all know that it don't look that pretty. And sometimes in Malaysia, being a chef, I would just hear my friends say, "Oh no, I just work in a restaurant." Like, they're not proud. I'm just in F&B. But then you read books like David, they share about how they're so, they are worshipped in America.
Yeah. But definitely, that's I can relate to Anthony Bourdain and Dave Chang, whatever they were saying.
Yeah.
Because first you have to take pride in what you do, and you have to be very grateful and fortunate that what you have. In terms of coming back to Sarawak, I'm really blessed with two owners that actually give me a chance to do something that I want to do. They believe in my vision, because not everybody will believe and want to believe in a vision, because to start up something is always taking a risk. So to me, waking up every day to tell myself how blessed I am, is where I have to strive even harder. Even how hard it is, sometimes where I can tell you 3 years until today, I'm still someone who cooks, but still washing dishes, doing things that needs to be done, closing the kitchen. I can tell you, like, literally you can spend your morning till your night still literally in the kitchen doing the things that means a lot to you. Yeah. And also for the community of people that still support you, and as well as the people in the front of the house still like believe in you, trying to give their best. So
when you say vision, what is the vision that the founders are supporting?
I think the owners are they just you know what, they just tell me like do what you think is good, and they always give me that support and that will, you just do what you felt is good. And for me is to play, my biggest part is definitely to give my best lah. Yeah, so never to give up. So I believe that everything that we do is to always believe that what's around us, and equally be grateful that, wow, these young cooks sometimes, when you become a chef, you can be an asshole, or I would say that, yeah, because you have your good days and you have your bad days. But again, I'm grateful that most of my staff that has been working with me has actually been together with me for a long time. Yeah, some people may move on, but again, we have still a group of people who still continue striving with me.
What are some of the challenges you face as an exec chef?
The challenges is I don't really have challenges. I always tell myself, um, just do what is happy. Just do what is happy. Inspire others, but equally let other people inspire you as well. So I don't
I'm
have
sure
big
there's challenges, but I don't think you see them as challenges. But you just, you know what, let's just solve it, do it, enjoy
Yeah.
it, be curious about it, ask questions. That's your approach.
Yes. Yeah, but I would say that in business wise, definitely my owners my owners are really supportive lah. So there's a lot there's a lot of small minor challenges here and there, but again I've support from everyone. I would say that help me to do what I feel like you have to give your best, John. Every day I told myself, yeah.
Yeah. Give yourself some pep talk.
Um, Sometimes,
Yeah.
yeah.
And how is the market for fine dining in Sarawak? Are people open to spending more on this carefully curated food?
Definitely, there's a group of people who are willing to spend for good food. I would say that there's increasing of people that is willing to spend for good food, and I would say I would say there's one or two restaurants that are actually doing fine dining now in Kuching. Equally happy that the food hub here is growing. We equally know that, wow, if you want to eat fine dining, there is actually a place. You want to eat cafe food, there's cafes. There's growing. I'm equally, when I'm back in 2017. It's actually introduction when we started. We are the earliest one and two of the earliest restaurant that actually started this more of a high end dining kind of scene. So back until today, 2022, the food hub has grown so much. But again, we are equally happy. I'm equally so happy about, wow, Sarawak has so much to offer. People see that, wow, when you want to eat all kinds of different kind of food, like you want to eat your malak hoko, you have a good one. You want to eat street food, you have a good one. Now it's like everywhere along the street can have good food ready. Yeah.
Wow, I'm so happy to hear. Final two questions. What skills do you think are most important when it comes to becoming a chef?
I think you going into a kitchen, more importantly, is to master up your knife skills. You have to be very approachable. Don't be shy. Don't be shy, because if you are shy, you will not learn anything. You have to be very approachable. Ask tons and tons of questions, and then again, try to associate and be more open, and be more open in a way that try to suck up all the negative and positive, and then go back and ask yourself questions, ask yourself tons of questions and see where it goes wrong, and then always write down. Like until today, I still write my own journal. I still write my own journal, whether my handwriting sucks, but again, whatever I do, I always write a lot. I sometimes advise myself, where I need to improve. It doesn't need to be just cooking, It has to be yourself when you do something wrong, like having a conversation with people, with your own stuff. Sometimes you reflect back. Do you say something wrong or stuff like that? How can you improve? Next conversation, So yeah, that's pretty much, I think, kitchen life. Always have a journal. My only advice to cook is always have a journal. Write what you do. Yeah, what's happy today. You definitely have your happy and sad days. happy and sad in just 8 hours. You definitely have your set times, and write down. You got cut by you got cut by a knife. Why it happens? What's the next time when you cut something? How can you be more caution? About that. So always write down. Always go home, take half an hour, 20 minutes time, read the book, read the things that you came across doing mistakes, how you want to be better tomorrow. Yeah, that's pretty much.
Any advice for people who are looking to be more creative in creating dishes?
I think most importantly is look into the thing. Like, dishes can be created in many ways. Some people can create a dish where it has 10 flavors in it. It can be so disgusting. It can be creative in that way also.
Right,
But it can be so disgusting in a way also. Yeah. So I always believe that sometimes it's always to understand raw ingredients first. For me, it's how I see it is always to go to market, alliance with those people, have raw bites or bits of ingredients, and then always save in those flavor profile in your mind. Again, write down, and then after that, because Malaysia, we have a lot of fruits that tends to be has different. Like, let's just say, for instance, star fruit, right? Star fruit you eat in January, right, doesn't mean that when it comes to June, right, it will be the same flavor. It will be the same sweetness or acid also. So that's why every time you have to key in, you have to understand that every month when you eat something, right, there is why this flavor, and why it has so many acid in here, why you have so many sweetness in here. You have to ask yourself a question. So always, like, before you create creative dishes, right, is to understand the raw ingredients first. And then again, go back to the triangle, circle of flavor. Then after that, start manipulating, start bringing all these ingredients, try to cook up something that you like to eat in your heart, or something that has to do with your childhood, like nostalgia flavor. And then from there on, you only know how to cook dishes that is so creative and tasteful. But sometimes it can be so easy that you don't need to think so much, but just to always have that memory, that flavor memory of your childhood. Sometimes one pot cooking can actually give you that harmonious flavor that actually, when you put inside the restaurant, it becomes so good. You get what I mean? Yeah. So that's why when we have this Saturday night project, right, that we actually copied from Norma restaurant in Denmark, right? It's where individual chefs will cook something, and I will cut all these raw herbs, fruits, everything. I assemble in an insert, like a square insert. I say, you know what? I'll pick you, and then today you really have nothing much to do. I want you to create a dishes. And I told them that sometimes one of your cook can suddenly cook one pot of, I don't know, it can be a porridge with chicken or down ubi, that kind of thing. But it can be so tasteful. It's because the amount of time that he actually cooked the chicken inside the congee, the porridge, that brings up that pure savory flavor. And then it gives you a bit of vegetables to bite in, and then a bit of vegetables, like salted vegetables in it, that can be so equally complex, but again, so tasteful. Yeah. So I think creative dishes is all about understanding the basics, or discover the local the raw material ingredients first. Then only you decided that nostalgia flavor, raw material, becomes your good food and creative flavors lah.
Chef John,
Am I saying it right?
No, it's so good. I just want to thank you for sharing your perspective. You are very, very passionate when it comes to ingredients and really putting your heart into cooking. I really like also what you said about challenges, the way you view challenges. Because a lot of times I ask my guests, what are the challenges? And then they'll just tell me the challenges they're facing. But for you, it's like, no, there's no challenges. But it's not that there's no challenges, but just that you have a different perspective. Like, I'm going to ask questions, I'm going to be curious, and I'm going to solve it. And I just want to thank you for sharing your story today.
Yeah, but last but not least, I would say that every day we go into the kitchen, right? When we work, right, there's tons of things that you need to solve. If I always strongly believe that if you go into if you work in a restaurant or either in a hotel, whether you're in an F&B or there's things to solve. But if there is a single day that there is nothing to solve, right, means there is a problem. I always strongly believe. So whenever I go into the kitchen, I'm an OCD. I'm an OCD. So whenever I talk to somebody, I have this thing that I always will look every part like side. Even though I'm having a conversation with you, I know that what I need to answer from your questions. But again, I'm always looking left and right and see if things are not right. What am I going to do after this conversation? Or I would say, can I stop this conversation? Can I rearrange these things first? Then I come back to you in the conversation again. So I'm really an OCD. People will say like, why, But again, I want things to be a bit more, in a proper way and perfect, but there's always imperfection, but I always want to solve every little problem every day so that, things will be better.
You have just listened to Foodie Canteen. This show is produced by me, your host Castle Lim, and co-written by Sulin Chung. Foodie Canteen podcast is made possible by the amazing team at Good Foodie Media. Check us out on Instagram and YouTube at Foodie Canteen for more. Follow us for brand new episodes every Friday. See you next week.